Mr. Sheen, you play your character in a very humorous way, I think. Is with all the gestures and things. Was that how the character was written, or was it your personal touch to it?
Well, there was not a huge amount of description for the character. You know, it was left to the audience's imagination, I suppose, in the books. But obviously, you have to make certain choices when you're playing the role, and you know, there's certain things that I made decisions about. But then there's other things that just kind of develop over time as you're playing the character and you discover about it. I wanted to, I think it can be sometimes a danger that characters, certainly bad guy characters, can take themselves a bit too seriously, you know. So you want to bring a kind of a humor to it, a lightness of touch to it. And I like the idea that this character is someone who pretends to be something that actually is very different to what's going on underneath. So being able to pretend to be someone who's a bit more humorous and a bit lighter and a bit more softer, but underneath is this hard, cold, frightening character. I thought that was quite useful. It was quite a nice thing to play for me as an actor, but also quite useful for the film because it brings a little bit more lightness to it.
He's also a bit of a coward, right?
I don't think he's a coward. Why do you think he's a coward?
Well, when he knows that things are going to go bad for him, he says, "Well, no, there's no danger here. We shouldn't fight them."
Right. Well, no, he knows there's no danger here. I mean, what you have to remember is that the battle scene, the confrontation with him, is all he's manipulated it. It's for his own ends. He doesn't really think there's any danger. And so, you know, I think quite sensibly when he discovers that maybe he might die if he carries on going, he changes, he adapts. So I don't think that's cowardly. I think that's sort of sensible.
Yeah, I see. And this is of all the 5 movies, I think this is the most high-tech one with the most special effects. Is there one scene that you remember that was particularly tough? Not because of the acting itself, but because of all the high-tech things involved.
Well, the big battle scene, you know, it takes up about 20 minutes of the film, and so in terms of shooting it, it was months and months of work with, you know, major characters not actually being there because they're the werewolves, and you can't actually have them there at the time. You've got green screen all around you, you've got people flying through the air, you've got the ground opening up, you know, all things that you have to imagine. They're not actually happening there. And also just shooting it when you're shooting a lot of things out of sequence, and when you're spending months working on the same scene, it's very hard to remember where you are in the sequence and what's going on. So that was quite tough going, yeah.
You've done 30 Rock, and being British and having a theater background, how comfortable are you doing American television?
Fine. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed doing my little stint on 30 Rock, and I was playing a British character, I suppose, so it didn't seem that different.
Made things easier.
Yeah, doing anything else. But I've played quite a few American characters in films now as well, so I love being able to, you know, move around between TV and film and theatre and American and British and big budget, small budget. That's all part of the enjoyment of it for me.
You being a bad guy in the movie, does it happen that you run into people in the street and they go, you know, like, leave the Cullens alone or things like that?
No, because I tend not to walk around with a long black wig, red eyes and white face, so people tend not to really recognize me from the films. Yeah, well, do I look like Arrow today?
Well, I've just seen the movie, so...
Right, yeah. So I think for a very young audience,
yeah,
who maybe aren't as familiar with me from other work, they don't really tend to recognize me, so I get away with it. I don't get any abuse in the streets.
Do you think in a way it seems like the saga won't go away?
I don't know. I think, you know, the audience have been so passionate about these stories and these films, and you know, they've come to mean a lot to a lot of people. And I think, as such, they'll never go away in that respect. You know, it'll always be a formative experience for people. You know, my own daughter read these books when she was about 8 or 9, and has grown up watching the films. And I know the sort of things that I watched when I was about that age that really meant a lot to me. They never go away. You know, you take them with you. They mean something to you for the rest of your life. You always associate them with the things that were going on in your life at the time. So I don't think they'll ever go away in that respect. As to whether Stephanie will ever write anymore, who knows? You know, who knows if she'll want to revisit that world and the characters again. But I think they'll always be around for the people that it means something to.